Hello fellow cinephiles, the Film Dude here, thanks for joining me today. So I'm looking at a film that came out in 2020, a film that I had heard about at the time but hadn't really got an opportunity or chance to actually see the film. That film is Dinner in America. This is a quirky, unique and interesting film that is both beautiful and powerful, and to me is a very special film. There's something unique and special about it which I really loved. It stars Kyle Gallner, who's fantastic and he's one of the great sort of character actors of his generation in my opinion. And it's good to see him outside of horror. He's great in horror films, but it's good to see when he plays something outside of that, and here he's really great as Simon, this sort of punk character who makes music and is kind of angry and doesn't want to abide to society's rules and wants to break free of that and is authentically himself, and that's a big theme in the film, authentically being oneself. And joining him is Emily Skeggs, who plays Patty. What a unique and interesting performance and interesting character. Patty's not something you quite expect, and much like Simon, she sort of goes against the grain in a lot of ways of what society expects of people and the way they treat others. Ultimately, the film is about Simon, an on-the-lam punk rocker and a young woman obsessed with his band, unexpectedly fall in love and go on an epic journey together through America's decaying Midwest suburbs. It's such a unique film. It has great music, great performances, it's well written, and it's just really refreshing and original in a lot of ways. And yes, it came out in 2020 during COVID, so it mightn't have got the huge wide release that it should have, but it's definitely a film that I've heard talked about time and time again, that everybody talked about watching, and I don't know why it took me so long to get to it, but after seeing a review on Haunted Hippie, she talked about it, I was really fascinated by it, so I ultimately checked it out. It's kind of an interesting film. It's told from two points of view and two characters. So obviously Simon, we first meet him as he's in a particular trial for some medication so he can make some money. And we just see him go on this journey that he's wanted by the police. There's certain things in his past he's trying to hide and ignore. And it's just about him sort of finding a place to be safe. And he causes chaos and a variety of things along the way. And then we also meet Patty, who has a normal sort of life, mother and father and a brother. But she doesn't quite fit into that family dynamic, or even to the world, the way they treat her like she's dumb or stupid, and she's not, but they treat her that way. And she just sees the world in a different way, and she's condemned for it and picked on because of it. When their two stories and worlds collide, that's when they both come alive in a lot of ways. Yes, Simon is still that punky sort of character who doesn't take people's shit, and Patty's sort of quiet, but because of their connection and bond, Patty comes out of her shell in a lot of ways. And she's ultimately able to stand her ground against things and completely accept her authentic self. And that's what I mentioned at the start. The whole film is really about that, accepting who you truly are, no matter what people think of it, and standing your ground. I guess that's kind of the punk idea as well, you know, going against society, being who you are and not letting anyone push you around or tell you who you should be. They talk about this film that kind of feels a bit like Napoleon Dynamite. To me, it doesn't have that same quirkiness or sort of oddness that film does. It definitely has a unique feel and style to it. It's independently done but beautifully shot. Like, it just feels like a lot of effort was put into the film for something on a low budget. And there's some great moments and sequences in it. There's a sequence where he sort of gets into a fight in this house and he burns the bushes out the front and smashes a window. And there's a lot of things throughout the film. The fact the cops are after him and how he's trying to hide from them. And how him and Patty sort of meet, that he's hiding and telling her to be quiet and doesn't tell the police where he is. And he ends up back at her house. And this is where we find out that she loves his band and that he actually is the lead singer of it, and that she doesn't know at the time. And he works all that out. And there's sort of this great connection between them. At first, he sort of messes with her and plays games and be kind of a dick. And they sort of go on this fun journey together, I suppose. But where everything changes is this moment in the film where they sort of connect and she works out who he is and believes who he is, and they have a moment together. And then we see him create this song. So he's playing the drums, he's doing all these bits and pieces, and she's been writing letters to him. And so the letters are kind of like poems, but he sees them more like songs. And he ultimately puts this song together, and he gets Patty to get up and sing. And she sings this great song. I think it's called a Watermelon Song or something like that. It's just so fascinating. Her voice, the sound. There's moments where they cut back to him watching her sing, and he's immersed in what she's doing. And then there's a point when she hits the second verse, and she sings again, and we cut back to him, and he realizes that he's just fallen in love with her, and it's overwhelming to him. And that's what the film really is. It's like being who you are, but it's also this great love story. And no matter who you are or what you do, you can still connect with someone. You can still have a unconventional friendship, bond, relationship, whatever it may be. And that you can still connect on a level that the relationship between Patty and Simon is really the heart and soul of the movie. We get sort of great moments where he does things and they're sort of comical but violent or aggressive. But she helps him soften a little bit. And he helps her sort of come out of a shell and accept who she is and not let anybody push around anymore. There's a moment after where she's been told she's dumb or idiot or whatever it is, and they're driving in the car, and she turns to him and says, "Do you think I'm slow or stupid?" And he gets angry that she said that. How dare you say that about yourself? No, you're not those things. You're not defined by what people tell you you are. And it's such a beautiful moment, and there's moments throughout where the bond between them grows and is connected. Like someone wrote in some comments that were made about one song that's on YouTube, the Watermelon song I was talking about, that there should have been much more of her singing and crafting these songs, and I would have really loved that. But I think the reason they only did one is because of the point and purpose of it and how powerful it was, and it got across this message of him falling in love with her, and that's exactly what the film set out to do. That's exactly what this scene set out to do. And if you had multiple of them, it might take away from the power of that particular moment. There is a moment at the end where he sings one of her songs in this grungy thing. He's got a balaclava on, no shirt, and they're rocking out. And that's a really great moment as well. And she has this cool moment. I could go on and on about this film, to be honest. But she has this cool moment at the end where these two girls are picking on her and she stands her ground. It's fantastic. These are the type of films we don't always get. They come along every now and again. They're simple but effective, and they really have something to say. And the ones that are standing your ground against decaying society, or standing your ground against what society tells you should do and should have and should be, are probably some of the best films. The Legend of Billie Jean's one of my favourites, and that's kind of the same sort of thing where she finds herself in a situation where she has to stand her ground. Pump Up the Volume, even to a point Empire Records, like there's just something about these movies that stand their ground and they're just captivating. And they also show us a different perspective that we mightn't all experience, know, or have seen before. And yes, there's been many films done about the idea of a punk rocker and being against things, but there's just something really beautiful and special about this movie and its depiction of that. I just found myself immersed in this film, had an emotional impact and effect on me, and I just found it kind of sweet and beautiful in the chaos and the violence and the aggression that the Simon character has. It weighs itself out with aggression and intensity, with beauty and softness and humour and music. Movies that have a central character that's a musician, or the film itself is based on music, I really like as well. There's something about films that do that, where their emphasis is on the music, and that the music isn't just there to tell you things, it's part of the film. It immerses you in it. It's another character expressing more of what the characters in the film are feeling or thinking or being. And I think this is a great example. I sort of can't believe it's taken me so long to see this movie because of how the impact it had and how great I think the movie is. But I think it came at the point in time that I needed to see it. And if you haven't seen this, I highly recommend it. It's unique and different. The performances by Cole Gallner and it's unexpected. It's funny. It's embracing who you truly are and accepting who you are. And it's about standing your ground and not allowing anyone to push you around or tell you what you should think, believe, or be. And it is very powerful in its simplicity. And the relationship between the two characters is just so beautiful that I think it's a film that gives people hope in accepting certain things about themselves they might not like to begin with, and that relationships can form out of unlikely circumstances. Anyway, that's it. That's my review of Dinner in America. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's definitely worth your time. If you enjoy this video, please subscribe down the bottom, follow me on Letterboxd and Facebook. Otherwise, until next time, enjoy the movie.